Corinthos family, and the shadowy dealings of the WSB. If you have been paying close attention to the screen lately, you know that something is not adding up anymore. We are watching all these seemingly disconnected pieces moving across the board. We have Jason Morgan returning from his WSB captivity as a changed man. We have Cassius being used as a scapegoat for the crimes of Ross Cullum, supposedly dead to the world, but secretly recruited by WSB director Z. We have Carly Spencer breaking down in tears by Jocelyn Jacks's hospital bed, begging her daughter to walk away from the agency. On the surface, these look like separate tragedies and character arcs. But if you ask me, we are looking at a highly coordinated narrative puzzle, and a new detail could expose the truth behind all of it. We may be staring at the biggest twist of the decade, and it all revolves around a ghost from the past who might not be a ghost at all. Let us talk about the clue that is sitting right in front of us, starting with some massive news from the real world that perfectly aligns with the on-screen chaos. Brian Craig has been busy making his return to acting, and he recently wrapped up his work on the action film project titled The Weapon. In that movie, he plays a character named Miller, who is the youngest, most agile member of the protagonist Isaiah Fury's elite team. This role required intense action sequences, tactical training, and a hardened edge. Now, why does this matter to us? Because the filming for The Weapon has concluded, meaning Brian Craig has a wide open schedule just in time for the fall television sweeps. It may not be a coincidence that his real-world availability is lining up perfectly with a massive storyline vacuum currently forming in Port Charles. When you combine his open schedule with the specific action-oriented skills he just honed playing Miller, you have the perfect recipe for a hardened, tactical character return. But the real clue is what is happening on our screens right now. Think about Carly Spencer's recent emotional breakdown at General Hospital. As she sat by Jocelyn's bed, terrified of losing her daughter to the dangerous world of the WSB, Carly explicitly stated that she cannot bear losing another child after the tragic loss of Morgan Corinthos. Why drop Morgan's name right now? In the soap world, a name drop of a deceased character during a highly emotional, high-stakes scene is never just a throwaway line. It is a breadcrumb. It is a psychological primer for the audience. The writers are making us think about Morgan, making us remember the pain of his loss, right as the WSB is heavily involved in the Corinthos family's lives. Something feels off about the way Z is hovering around Carly and Jocelyn, and the way the agency is hoarding assets like Cassius Faison. This is where things become incredibly interesting, guys. Let us start connecting the dots. If you look at the timeline, the WSB has a long documented history of snatching up presumed dead residents of Port Charles and turning them into brainwashed assets. They did it to Jason Morgan. They tried to do it to Anna Devane. Right now, the entire town believes that Cassius Faison is dead. His reputation smeared by Jocelyn's lie that he was the main ally of Jen Sidwell. But we know the truth. Cassius is secretly alive, and Z wants to own him, to use him as a ghost operative. The WSB thrives on taking vulnerable, broken men and turning them into weapons. If this is true for Cassius, and if it was true for Jason, then that completely changes the narrative around Morgan Corinthos' supposed death in that car bombing years ago. If that detail is true, it could explain a lot about the WSB's current arrogance. What if Morgan did not die in that explosion? What if the WSB intercepted him, realizing that the son of the most powerful mob boss on the eastern seaboard would be the ultimate leverage or the ultimate operative? For years, Morgan could have been locked away in a secret facility, subjected to the same psychological manipulation and tactical training that Jason Morgan endured. This perfectly aligns with Brian Craig's recent action movie experience. If Morgan comes back, he is not going to be the reckless, emotionally unstable kid we lost. He is going to be a lethal, highly trained operative, much like his enforcer Uncle Jason. The bigger question is, what brings him out of the shadows now? That is where our big reveal theory comes into play. We believe that Morgan Corinthos is the inside man who is about to blow the WSB wide open. Think about Cassius Faison's current predicament. Cassius is cornered, presumed dead, and entirely at the mercy of Z's manipulation. Z thinks he holds all the cards. But what if Morgan is the one who rescues Cassius from the WSB? Morgan has been inside that dark, manipulative machine for years. He knows exactly how Z operates. When Morgan sees Cassius being forced into the exact same lifetime of servitude and manipulation, it triggers something deep inside him. Morgan realizes that accepting this fate, staying quiet, and doing the agency's dirty work means a lifetime of being a puppet. Helping Cassius escape is not just an act of rebellion, it is Morgan's first step in breaking his own chain. He saves Cassius because he knows that if he does not fight back now, he will be a WSB ghost forever. Wait, what if that is true? Think about the massive shockwaves this would send through Port Charles. If Morgan is the one who sabotages Z's plans and frees Cassius, he becomes a rogue agent. He has no choice but to return home to Port Charles to seek the protection of his family. But he is returning to a family and a town that is completely falling apart. This brings us to the aftermath, and this is where the storyline potential is absolutely off the chart. Right now, Sonny Corinthos is experiencing a massive shift in his life. Jason Morgan just returned from his own WSB nightmare, took Danny on a father-son vacation, and made a definitive, life-altering choice. Jason looked Sonny in the eye and told him he is done with the mob. Jason is prioritizing Danny, completely cutting ties with the violent underworld that defined his life for decades. At the same time, Sonny himself is exhausted. He has been battling Jen Sidwell, dealing with betrayals, and trying to find some semblance of peace with ADA Justine Turner. Sonny wants to step back. The Corinthos organization, the very shield that has protected Port Charles from worse evils for 30 years, is dissolving. If the Corinthos cartel falls, Port Charles becomes a war zone. We are already seeing the crack. Rival factions, dangerous forces, and international criminals are going to invade the town to claim Sonny's abandoned territory. The PCPD, even with Anna Devane back as chief and Harrison Chase reinstated as a detective, will not be able to hold back the tide of organized crime. The town needs a kingpin to maintain order. It needs a Corinthos. If Morgan returns this fall, hardened by years of WSB tactical training, he is the only logical successor. Michael has built a legitimate life at Aurora and is busy dealing with Deception Shares and Willow's political career. Dante is a cop. Jason is out. That leaves Morgan. Imagine the cinematic poetry of this moment. Morgan returns to a town on the brink of collapse, a town about to be overrun by dangerous syndicates because his father's empire is crumbling. Morgan steps up. He has the tactical skills of Jason Morgan, the ruthlessness of the WSB, and the bloodline of Sonny Corinthos. He takes his father's throne, not out of reckless ambition like he once had, but out of cold, calculated necessity. If this theory proves correct, the dynamic between Sonny and Morgan will be the emotional anchor of the entire show. Sonny, who has carried the guilt of Morgan's death for years, will suddenly have his son back. But it will not be the boy he remembers. It will be a lethal weapon. Sonny will have to guide Morgan, teaching him the unwritten rules of the mob, how to lead with respect rather than just fear, and how to protect the family without losing his soul. Sonny becomes the mentor, the retired godfather pulling the strings from the shadows, while Morgan becomes the new face of the Corinthos cartel, restoring order to a chaotic Port Charles. And what about Carly? She is currently fighting tooth and nail to get Jocelyn out of the WSB, terrified of losing another child. Imagine her absolute horror and simultaneous overwhelming joy when Morgan walks through the door. She gets her son back, but she realizes he is completely entrenched in the violence she has been trying to protect her children from. It would create a massive ideological war within the family. Carly and Jocelyn on one side, trying to pull Morgan into the light, and Sonny on the other side, knowing that Morgan is the only one who can wear the heavy crown and keep the family safe from the invading forces. This could explain a lot about why the writers are systematically dismantling Sonny's support system. They removed Jason from the enforcer role. They have isolated Sonny. They are creating a massive power vacuum that can only be filled by a legacy character with a chip on his shoulder. Morgan's return as the savior of Cassius Phazon and the new head of the Corinthos family ties every single loose end together. It connects the WSB storyline, the mob storyline, and the deep emotional trauma of the Spencer Corinthos family into one explosive narrative. We may be looking at the beginning of something huge, guys. The board is set. The actors are in place. The real-world schedules are aligning perfectly. The truth could be closer than anyone realizes, hiding just beneath the surface of these seemingly random WSB cover-ups and cartel shakeups. Someone may not be ready for what is coming next, and frankly, Port Charles will never be the same once the ghost of Morgan Corinthos kicks down the door and claims his rightful place at the head of the table. Keep your eyes peeled, because this fall is going to change everything.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.